Beware browsing the internet in foreign countries. You wind up in unlikely places with little recollection of how you arrived there. As Bilbo Baggins cautioned his young nephew, "It's a dangerous business, Frodo, going out your door. You step onto the road, and if you don't keep your feet, there's no knowing where you might be swept off to." Browsing Japanese real estate sites is like Frodo stepping onto the road outside his door. You will find yourself in unexpected places. And where we find ourselves is here, looking at this property perched on a mountainside. This is an Akiya home, or, in translation, an empty home. Akiyas are typically traditional Japanese-style homes, inexpensive, numerous, and in various states of repair. Often, they are the homes of elderly parents or grandparents who have recently passed on, and the family is motivated to sell the property immediately, if not sooner. Most municipalities will have an Akiya Bank, which is not a financial institution specializing in loans to buy vacant properties, but a repository for all of the currently available Akiya homes in the area. Viewing page after page of these low-cost properties cannot help but press that large button in your brain labeled, "What if?" We were directed here via the route less traveled, which would pass for a golf cart path on the back nine of a Himalayan country club. Morning treks to Family Mart would not be an option. Didn't even see a vending machine along the way. The house is constructed on a plot excavated out of the mountain. The large boulders serve double duty of looking nice while keeping the mountainside on the mountain. Along the backside of the house, an island of tall bamboo separates the house from the lane above. As the traffic may amount to 3 cars a day, the privacy is vital. The cistern raises questions in our minds. Is this decorative or functional? The answer is undoubtedly both, but the question remains unanswered. And we don't understand the plywood panels over the siding, but that can't be positive. Moving around, we find what must be the working side of the house. It's hoped that the drainage is adequate, and from what we see, it might be. The absence of retaining boulders in this back corner is troubling, and we can see that the mountainside has chosen to migrate downward. This is not a welcome trend. Construction for this back corner is radically different. This is not wood and earthen panels. This is poured concrete that may well withstand a direct hit from an artillery shell. This is the area which contains the toilets, the washroom, the shower rooms, and the baths. We see a kerosene tank, which we have come to recognize as the equivalent of white cylindrical propane tanks of the rural Midwest. We see the kerosene-fired water heater with its external plumbing, as well as a wood-fired water heater, which further investigation indicates is used for heating the large stainless steel soaking tub directly on the other side of the wall. You see these black plastic water pipes lead to a solar water heater on the roof. This seems a fine idea, but how long, exactly, will we have to stand by a running tap, waiting for the hot water to arrive from the rooftop? Stepping out into the street, we see the exterior door leading into the washroom and note just how close the house sits to the street. The aesthetics of weathered concrete block cry for some attention. Perhaps planters could be placed atop the wall with trailing vegetation. This seems remarkably dangerous after observing the rate of growth which takes place during the hot tropical months. Observing the home from above, a number of questions come to mind. Red earth on the rooftop? Migrating roof tiles? Mortar repairs to the shingles and roof? Is this normal? While the concept of a tiled roof, which will last centuries, is attractive, what's happening here? There is so much we do not know. The trust of Japanese society is refreshing. The home is unlocked, which anywhere else in the world would be an invitation to a house teeming with squatters or teenage partiers. and here it is simply a statement of good faith, or perhaps the lock is broken. But the Ginkan is spacious, and the shoe cabinet is still in place. The first, and perhaps the best impression here, is that the empty house is truly that, empty. Oftentimes, a prospective buyer would be confronted with stacks and heaps of possessions of the prior owner, who always seems to be a hoarder. Stepping out into the edge hallways, known as ingawas, which serve as the architectural transition area between the interior living space and the outdoor world. In temperate weather, the doors are open wide and breezes readily circulate throughout the home. The house is refreshingly tidy, with the extra bonus of no suspicious aromas. The 4 principal rooms are quite spacious, with the shoji and fusamas still in place. A quick distinction here. The shoji are the sliding doors with the wooden framework and the translucent soft white coverings. The fusamas are the heavier solid doors with the artwork. The tatami mats are in good condition overall, with a few nicks here and there, and at least one needing replacement. At $225 to $700 a piece, that certainly is something that could be done. Moving into the back corner of the house, with the aforementioned concrete construction, we encounter the toilets, plural. First, a dedicated urinal, a unique and personally appreciated feature of many older Japanese houses. Unfortunately, this house does not have a bidet. Even more unfortunate, it does not possess a toilet. Just this flushable hole in the floor. Obviously, steps would have to be taken. Next up is the shower and soaking tub room. As usual, these two functions take place in the same room, and I am sure this shade of green will come back in style at some point. The next door will take you into the washroom, which, remarkably, still has a washing machine in place. The exterior door leads out to the sidewalk, well, it leads to the street. And stepping up about 18 inches, we step into the kitchen, which is narrow and well lit by the window, but I don't know what to say about this room. I know that these walls are not wallpaper, they are fabric-covered boards. And I believe these boards could be replaced or maybe simply scrubbed. I don't know what the answer is for that particular room. This is somewhat worrisome. We have the wooden flooring. The laminate flooring has become delaminated and basically useless and would have to be replaced immediately. While that is a bit of a project, of course, to do that, the real question is, why did this happen? Is there something we need to know about the house that created a situation where all the floors delaminated? Coming around the corner, we come to what I assume is the formal dining room. It has fabric wallpaper throughout that is stained with water. And this is somewhat of a mystery because there is a room above this room. There is no apparent way for water to leak, although this water seems to be coming from below. Which begs the question, does this house get enough water underneath it to create these situations? I don't know. That seems to be a little trouble. One of the things you can find in these houses is if they start to sag, the doors don't want to move as well. They have rollers on the bottom, so they normally move quite effortlessly, but these doors seem to be stuck in the frames. Now we'll go up the stairs. Now, these look like stairs, but they're a ladder. They look okay, but they're not. They are a ladder and they have no railing. And once we get to the top, there are 3 bedrooms up here, the first of which is fairly nice with a tatami floor and fairly nice walls and ceiling. And this is where the big water stain is below us in that dining room. So it's a bit of a mystery as to how exactly that water happens. And this is not as uncommon as you would think. Gaps between the panels and the framing of the house. Certainly, we've seen that in a number of homes where that's just somewhat accepted. I don't know. Seemed like a caulking gun and some weather stripping would make that situation better, but that's not something that anyone seems to worry overly much about. Again, another nice room with tatami mats, a nice ceiling, the ever present fluorescent round tube light, and stepping into the 1970s paneled room, which is the only room in the house which has carpet in it, and the dark paneling and the lighting. It makes me think that this is probably the man cave. Perhaps was the area that provided the escape for anyone who wanted to get away from it all and get away from everyone. They might come up to this man cave. And that's basically it for the interior of the home. There is a lot of things that make you look at this house and say, well, this could work. And a lot of other things that say, no, run screaming the other direction. There's too many questions that don't have answers. So with that, I will go back down this stairwell with no railing, then make my way out. You'll notice from this shot from above that there is a second house on this particular property. This was constructed as a full second house with a kitchen, with a bathroom and living spaces of its own. But as you can see, the construction methods are very different, and we can only guess as to what its use was for, perhaps as mother-in-law quarters or a place for the kids to live. I can see it being used as a workshop or any number of secondary features that come to mind in such a space. Here in 2023, the subject of planetary population levels is once again in the public discourse. However, this time, the focus is not on overpopulation, nor are we hearing the tired and discredited Malthusian beliefs that existing rates of population growth will soon overrun planetary resources and lead to a collapse of civilization. No. This time, the discussion is about population collapse. This time, we are looking through the other end of the telescope. The population collapse discussion in many areas just remains in the realm of future problems that will probably never come to pass. Population collapse is not being taken seriously by the generations raised with the specter of overpopulation disasters always hovering in the background. Psychologically, it's a little difficult to make that switch. In Japan, however, population collapse is already present. The fertility rate required to maintain a static population is 2.1%. Now that's somewhat of a theoretical number, but Japan has a very, very clear number. Japan currently has a population that's declining at the rate of negative 0.5% a year. So 0.5% a year, they are declining. This has led to the Akiya phenomenon that we discuss. It is fun to look at these properties and ponder the possibilities. I cannot profess to ever having a passionate desire to live permanently overseas. It is challenging enough to achieve long-term financial independence here at home. Acquiring sufficient resources to establish a second household seems to be a non-starter. However, if a second household could be acquired for under $30K, does it begin to look more attractive? Under $20K? Under $10K? Perhaps clear title for the cost of renovating. That's something to think about.